Hi guys and welcome. In this video, we will talk about how we can use Netcat for communication and how we can use Netcat to transmit data between two devices. Netcat is a very useful and helpful tool for all penetration testers. You have to know how to use Netcat if you want to perform a successfully data transmission between two devices in a very quick way. So, in this course, we will use Netcat for many purposes, and I want to make a quick revision and a quick explanation, of course, for Netcat. So we will start using Netcat on Ubuntu, and of course we can use Netcat on Windows. You can download it from this website. After downloaded it, I extracted it and I just get this executable file, which is the netcat file. I will use this file, netcat.exe, of course, to communicate, between two devices and to transmit the data between them. So I will use netcat on Windows, on Ubuntu, my Ubuntu device, on Linux device, using ANSI -VLP. V mean purpose, L mean listen, P to the port. So I will listen to port 1337 and I will press enter. As we can see, I can listen on the port and I'm listening on the port now without any problem. I will now use the another Netcat version on Windows and try to connect to the host and the port. But first I will use help. As we can see, this help banner help us to know more about the options that we can use in Netcat. Of course, I use the netcat-lp to use the the port that we want to listen on, and to start a TCP or listening on it without any problem. So before that, I will just make sure that I run Wireshark to listen on the interface and to explain more about what is happening actually when I try to connect to other device. I will just, I will make the listen here and I will listen to the port 1337. Now we are listening on this IP, which is 172.16.120.136. We will try to communicate and to connect to this host and try what is actually working there. So I will use, okay, no problem. I will use here the Wireshark, I will use Netcat here, netcat-vv to connect with Verbis, to show the purpose. Then we will enter the host that we want to connect to. Then we will enter the port number, which is 1337. And I now will press enter, but I'll make sure that this are good to you. When I press enter, I can see here in Wireshark that I did a very quick three-way handshake. As we can see, I send the send, then I received SYNAC, and I get the acknowledgement. I send the acknowledgement, which means that this port is open. This is the three-way handshake. You can read more about TCP protocol to know more about it, but mainly this is the TCP three-way handshake in TCP actually. Yeah. So we send send flag, we received SYNAC, and we send ACK again, which means this port is open. And as we can see here, we received a connection from our device, which is 172.16.120.1. So we can now send and transmit the data without any problem. We can send hi, for example. We send the hi here. We can see that we received hi here without any problem. We can reply hi, how are you? We can see that we get how are you here. So We transmit data between two devices using Netcat, and we can use it. Actually, we can see here that the data that we send and the data we are transmit without any problem with this host. Actually, here you can see that if we go to follow TCP stream, you can see that yep, we can read what is happening using Wireshark. So we will use Netcat in many different ways and next lectures, and we will learn how we can use Netcat to control our shells, our Python shells. So there is another trick on Netcat. We can use Netcat to start, let's say, a reverse shell just with a Netcat. We can use that. Simply, I will netcat-vlp. I will listen to port 1337 again. Then I will use the option -e to let's say invoke and use the program cmd.exe and pass all the arguments to cmd.exe, and I will press enter. Now, any connection that I will receive from any other host, it will be like a reverse shell, and I will just connect to it without any problem. Now, we will just actually netcat here, VV. We'll try to connect to this host and to this port. This is we have a bind shell here, not a reverse shell, but it's just to show you the techniques. The main techniques that we will use, it's actually two techniques. The first technique is using this way, which I bind into a port and listen into a port actually. Then I'm trying to connect to it. And if we can see, if I send who am I, sorry, got a problem? Yep, I forgot a who am I here. It's just delayed. If I get a dir, I get a very simple shell, CMD shell, command shell without any problem. So actually I can did it in Linux too. If I just CLS, sorry. If I use netcat-vlp 1337, of course, actually, I will use the -e command without any problem. Then pen-sh, it's the equivalent of the CMD button in Linux. So I press enter now. Oops, sorry. I'm sorry. I will use the new version, the updated version of Netcat on Linux. I will use Ncat to show you a couple of things. Netcat. Then I will use -e pen sh. Then I will listen on port 1337 and I will press enter. Ncat is another version of updated version of Netcat. You can use it on Linux to use SSL, to use more actually commands and options in Linux. I just mistyped the first version, which is NC. Now NC and Ncat is different, so you have to know that. I'm going to try to execute or to connect to the host. I'm sorry, here. netcat.exe -vv172.16.1.1337, and I'll press enter. We can see that we got a connection here. We don't have a problem. Yep, a connection coming. Now we can execute the comments. If I try to execute ID, I can see I get a root, who am I, uname-a, uname, and we don't have any problem executing these comments. So I want to show you the Ncat, the new Netcat, the new version and the updated version of Netcat, because we can use Netcat over SSL, and we will talk about that in the next lecture. And in the previous lecture, we talked about how you can set up the labs, and the labs is very important to you if you want to test Netcat between two or more devices. So in the next lecture, we will talk about the Python sockets. I hope you guys enjoy the Python sockets and the other lectures about network security. In the endpoint security section, we will talk more about NCAT, and of course in the encryption section when we talk about the SSL over Netcat. We will talk more about it later on. So hope you guys enjoyed this video and see you in the next lecture.